Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. This is going to be a Morphe One brand. We've got so much to talk about. I've got so many things to share with you, so we are just going to go ahead and jump right on in. So let's get started with the Morphe One brand for today. We're going to start off with brows. I'm so used to doing that first before any other part of my routine, so I'm going to do the same thing today. Morphe does not have a brow gel, so what I did was I pulled my favorite one from my collection that is also drugstore. It's the Maybelline Super Lock. Kind of backcombed the brows and got every hair to be coated with this product and laid down, so it's like a laminating technique. And I've been letting that dry and letting my skincare soak in as well so that we can get on with applying some product. So I do have one product for brows that Morphe has, and they do have brow pencils. This is the Micro Brow Pencil. It's pretty skinny. As with most micro pencils that you see on the market, it's not any different. It comes with a spoolie on one end and a really tiny point that's very precise. Now, I'm so used to using brow pens as of the last couple of months to fill in my brows entirely, so we're kind of going to revisit using a pencil again. Here's that Cold Brew shade, and I think it might be doable. At least I hope so, because I didn't have much to choose from. So I do like the matte finish to the component. I think it's nice, and again, it's affordable. It's Morphe. So we're going to try to get this to show up through the brows after letting that Super Lock brow glue from Maybelline dry. So I'm going to start by just trying to do some upwards flicking motions, and I'm going to focus more precisely in the areas where I actually need to fill in where there are gaps. So I'm just going to do this really quickly and see how I can get a full brow look for the day with hopefully just using this. I've got the majority of my brow filled in, and I would have to say that I'm pretty impressed with how easily this transfers. Sometimes pencils don't transfer very well depending on the formula over brow gels, laminating waxes that have already been placed down first. So this did a nice job, and I think the color is right as well. But for me, I kind of want to create the look of hair where I don't have it. I'm so used to seeing that because of the brow pen, so I'm going to use my favorite from NYX. It's also very affordable. It's probably even cheaper than products from Morphe itself. But this is the Lift and Snatch in the shade called Ash Brown, and I'm just going to spot fill in just tiny little gaps. I really don't have to do much with this brow, which I'm very impressed with. So I'm gonna just fill this in, do this next brow, and we're moving on. So here's where we're at with the brows. I actually do think that this performed really well. I think it'll be better if I do this first and then brow gel, but the product is great, the formula performed well, and the shade is just right. And again, that was the Cold Brew shade. Another gap within the Morphe makeup range are primers. They don't have any primers to choose from, so I'm gonna go into my collection, pull one that I love from the drugstore, again, keeping everything really affordable, and I'm gonna use my Blur Out primer from Milani. This is my absolute favorite primer from the drugstore, hands down. Nothing compares to this. It blurs, it smooths, it preps the skin perfectly for foundation. It's well loved. I've used half of mine already. I'm going to use the little scooper that comes with it. Yes, they gave you a little spatula scooper tool to dig out your product so you don't have to put your fingers in there. So for someone like me, it is just the cherry on the sundae. I'm going to use my fingers to massage this into the skin and kind of pressing it where I have larger pores. And then with what's left on my fingers, I'm going to then blend that around the rest of the face as well. Next up is foundation. We're going to use the Light Form Extended Hydration Foundation. What a mouthful. This is the only foundation option that they have in their range for liquid foundations, and I chose the shade Light 05N. Let's talk about the actual product component itself. It's a frosted glass bottle with the M for Morphe across the front, plastic cap, and it has a pump, which is wonderful. I love a good pump, and I think a lot of us do because it just makes dispensing easy. I like to just kind of squirt this on the back of my hand, use my hand as a palette, or you can actually use a makeup palette or kind of go right onto your brush, your tool, your fingers, whatever it is, however you like to apply your products. But this is supposed to be an extended hydration type of formula, which I'm kind of curious about because I typically don't go for anything that is described as super hydrating. But again, this was the only option for foundation, so this is the one that we're going to use today. And this is the shade Light 05N, and I do think that it looks a little bit more golden than I would prefer. And it's not really dripping down as quickly as I thought it was. I thought it was going to be a little bit more runny, so that's a surprise. I'm going to use the Morphe M103, which is the angled foundation brush. I love this brush. I actually reviewed a lot of their brushes very recently, and whoa, that's going to be probably a little too dark. Way to go. Anyways, I reviewed their brushes very recently, and I kind of went through each one, showed you some demos, application of product with it, described the cut, the style. I also gave you some ideas and recommendations what you could do with one brush beyond what it's described for or what it was designed for. So check that video out. It's very lengthy and in detail, and I think it turned out really, really well. If I do say so myself, I'm very proud of that video. So check it out. I will link it for you. But let's go ahead and continue blending this in with this brush. The color is quite golden, and it's probably a shade maybe a little too dark. It's okay. We're going to make it work because this is all we got. It's going to be fine. Just looking at it, there is a little bit of like a kind of sheen to it. Not glitter, not shimmer, nothing, anything that's kind of sparkly. It's just the formula itself is very hydrating, but it actually looks really nice. And I feel like I've left my skincare to dry enough so there's no pilling with the products underneath. It's working beautifully over this Milani primer, which is good to know. Again, the shade is just a little off, but we could just kind of fix that with a little extra concealer, scale back the bronzer, so it's really no biggie. I can work with this. This is definitely not as bad as I've done before. I've done worse. Honestly shocked. Like, am I just late to this? Are people loving this and I'm just not hearing about it, or is no one really talking about this? Because it actually looks really, really pretty. If I'm being honest, this is really nice. From here, we're going to go into some bronzer. I've already reviewed this product. These are the new Set and Heat bronzing sticks. I have the shade called Flicker, which is the lightest shade that's designed for more fair to light skin tones. And I'm just going to do a little bit of this. Again, kind of scaling back the bronzer because the foundation is a little too dark for me. So I'm just going to kind of scribble this on. I like how creamy, smooth, and blendable this is. It does have a little bit of a dewy kind of finish to it, but it's actually a very well done stick that blends nicely, doesn't tug, doesn't pull. It just has a really smooth, kind of soft glide to the skin. Blends in nicely, never really disrupts the foundation underneath. I've used this a couple of times. And to blend that out, I'm going to use the Morphe M242. This is the cream and liquid bronzer brush. This is one of my absolute favorites from the video that I reviewed the brushes. It's an angled with kind of like a stippling brush on the end, but then the antibacterial gray bristles at the base. Such a good brush for bronzers, for creams, liquids. I wouldn't use this for powders because it's pretty dense, but it's great for any liquid product, even foundation, even contour. You can use it for blush. I mean, it is quite dense, but it'll get the job done. So I've got the bronzer blended in, and this brush is perfection for blending in cream bronzers. I'm going to take what's left on my brush and go down on my neck because this foundation is quite dark. It's 2 shades too dark, and if it oxidizes, which I hope it doesn't, it's going to look even darker. So I kind of scaled back on the bronzer, didn't use too much of this because I didn't want to overdo it. But I do like this formula. I think it's great. And now we get to do a little bit of concealer. And these are also products that I've already reviewed. They are the Wake Up Artist Concealer and the Brightener. So the Brightener in the shade called Blossom, which is the lightest shade for fair to lighter skin tones. And then the concealer, I wear the shade Ivory 3N, and it's a little light, but I think it's going to be perfect for this darker foundation. So I'm going to start off with the Blossom first. And I like the applicator. It's a kind of a large doe foot, and it allows you to do just a dot because of the width of the doe foot itself. It's kind of rounded. So you just kind of like stamp it there. And since it's a brightener, I'm only going to use this in the innermost corner where I have discoloration. What's left on my brush, I will then blend to cover the discoloration out here. I don't want to overload this area with too much product. The formula of these are a little bit more hydrating, so keep that in mind. But they are actually really beautiful formulas, and they look great under the eyes. So far, their products are really good, well made, perform well, blend well. They're really killing it. They're really making a tremendous comeback. I'm going to blend that brightener in with the M132, which is the concealer brush. It actually looks like a miniature version of the foundation brush. It's kind of rounded, more oval, with an angle and a cut to it, so it looks like that. It's basically exactly the same as the foundation brush, but just miniature. I'm going to use that to kind of stamp and blend this brightener right in here, this brush, and bring it right into this inner pocket right in here, where I have some discoloration, mostly veining that you can see because the skin is there is so thin, and I am pretty fair. You can see all the bluish, greenish, kind of purpley veins that I have. So I'm going to just kind of stamp this there. What's left, I'm going to then come out here. And now right over the top, I'm going to go in with a little bit of concealer. This is the shade 3N, as I said earlier, and I'm going to just kind of stamp a little bit here. And I'm also going to take some of this concealer onto my hand, just a tiny little bit, because I'm going to use that to blend through the center to kind of balance things out and kind of add a little bit of brightness and lightness to the face so that it kind of balances out that dark foundation. And for this step, I'm actually going to switch brushes to the M135, which is one of my favorite concealer brushes. This actually comes in a set. It's like a little kit that you can get with, I think it's 2 brushes and a sponge. I will link it. Everything is going to be linked for you, so don't worry. It's going to be linked for you down below, and this is a great concealer brush. I'm going to just pat and blend right over the brightener. I'm also going to pull it down just a little bit lower, again, creating more balance. What's left on my brush, I like to go down the nose. You can kind of blend a little bit, but I have some on the back of my hand for that, so I'm just going to focus mostly right now with blending and trying to cover up any discoloration and veins on my lids with that concealer as well. So that concealer looks really beautiful under the eyes on its own and with the corrector. It also is a bit more hydrating, but it's not too hydrating where you can't set it, where it stays sticky, wet, or you just kind of feel like there's just too much heaviness under the eyes. It's actually a really well-made formula, and I do enjoy using this, and I talked about it in the previous video when we talked about new products, and I've used this quite a few times actually since posting that video, because I actually do like it a lot. So going back to that 135 brush, I'm going to use that with the concealer from my hand, and I'm going to blend just a little bit of this through the center of the forehead, just to, again, balance things out, and then take my sponge and just kind of tap this out. Morphe does have a sponge, but I did not actually wash it for this video, or dampen it, I should say, because I kind of want to finish using this one. This is one from e.l.f. It's on its way out. I've had it for a couple of months, and I'm saving the Morphe one as my replacement for this one. So I'm going to just, again, continue working that concealer down the center of the face a little bit, and then just kind of tapping that out. To set the under eyes and also to set the face, I'm going to go in with their Bake and Set setting powder. This is a mini in the shade Translucent. It's just the lightest color. I still have the seal on it, so I'm going to rip this off with my tweezers. And I usually dump loose powders into the cap and pick them up with a sponge, a brush, or a powder puff, so that's exactly what I'm going to do today. I'm going to start off with the powder puff and use that loose powder to set the under eyes. And I'm just going to kind of tap this right over the concealer. I'm also going to take a little bit of that with what's left on the puff and just kind of go over that layer of concealer on the lids just to make sure that's set for my blending of the eyeshadows. So this actually did a nice job at setting the concealer and through the T-zone. It's not like amazing where I'm just going to completely replace some of my go-tos, like the L'Oreal Blurfection powder. I have been using that every single day, and I just can't stop reaching for it. Out of everything that I own, I just keep going back to this, but that doesn't mean that this Morphe one is a bad option. It's actually nice. I think it is cheaper than the L'Oreal, and it also did its job at setting, which is exactly what this is supposed to do. Now, I don't think I'm going to do any sort of baking technique where I put extra powder and let it sit and then dust it away. I think I just want to just leave it as is. Everything feels nice and set. It doesn't feel or look dry, which is great. So all good things. It's just, it's not going to be one, I don't think, that's going to replace my go-to. But it's still a great setting powder to choose from at the drugstore. With the M162 powder brush, I'm going to take that same translucent powder and use that to set the rest of my face. They don't have powder bronzer, so I do like to kind of set a little bit the creams that I use for longevity, just that layering technique where you put creams and then powders. So I'm just going to use this translucent powder to set that area. Here's another product that I absolutely adore from this brand. It's the Cloudlight powders. I've often talked about these in previous videos and over on TikTok, how this is the dupe for the Hourglass Ambient powder. So if you want an Hourglass powder look, but you don't want to pay the Hourglass price, this is the dupe. It's the exact same thing. I have Hourglass powders in my collection, lots of them. And this does the exact same thing. I wear the shade called Dawn, and I'm going to go right into that same brush, the 162, and just kind of load up my brush, tap off the excess, and then I'm just going to just tap right over everything. This is going to give you a really soft, pretty glow without glitter, without sparkle, without seeing shimmer. It's going to be a healthy kind of sheen, almost like if your skin is just healthy. Like you've done your skincare routine, you've been taking care of your skin. It's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. And so yes, this is a need. This is probably one of my most favorite products that I'm going to be using in this video. It's the Trio Cheek Palette. These are the Cheek Thrills. I only bought one, and that was a mistake. That was a mistake. I should have just bought a bunch of them. Honestly, I should have bought the whole range because they're absolutely stunning. They're beautiful. The shade that I have is called Blind Date, and that's what that looks like. It comes with a clear plastic window that you can lift up so you can have access to the cream. There's a luminous kind of balm, and then there's a satin kind of finish to the blush. Same colors, it's just giving you 3 different finishes, so you essentially have 3 different options. You can wear them all together, You can mix and match. You can just do one. You can do whatever you want with this. And the packaging is absolutely adorable. And I love it. And on the back, it says the name with the label there. So I'm going to start with the cream. And then I'm going to finish off with the powder just to kind of set everything down. So I'm going to use this first. And I'm going to blend this in with the M204, which is a cream and liquid blush brush. And what I love about this formula, it's easy to blend. It has a little bit of glow, but it's not too emollient, too greasy, too shiny. You get a little bit of shimmer if you use the luminous kind of cream, which is the center pan. But you don't have to use that all over your cheeks. You can just kind of mix and match. Just add it if you want. Use it as a highlighter. And that color gives such a beautiful kind of just a glow. It's like the color of my skin when it naturally flushes. It's just really, really beautifully done. And I just love this formula. And this brush is perfection for your cream and your liquid blushes. Also going to take it over the nose and just sweep a little bit across the forehead as well. I'm going to take a little bit of the powder to set that cream with the M201, which is a powder blush brush that looks like that. Soft, wispy, has an angle from short to long. It's one of my favorite brushes in this entire range. I'm going to go into the center pan of the Cheek Thrills palette, and I'm going to use that kind of shimmer balm type of formula to use as a highlight because they don't have highlighters. If memory serves me right, I didn't see any on the Ulta site, and I also didn't see any on their website. So I'm just going to use what's in the palette. That's what it's made for. You can use it as a highlight, a blush topper. It could be your blush because it actually does have pigment. I'm just kind of working it off the back of my hand just to kind of warm it up because it does have a tint to it and it has a pink base. I don't want to go too crazy with it on the nose or around the temples and the forehead because it's going to leave a little bit of a pink shadow. So I'm just going to use this mostly right above the blush because it kind of matches and it kind of blends that blush right into the concealer and it's stunning. Look at that. The glow. Stop, right? It's looking so good. Let's take a moment to pause and look at the base complexion. We have done the foundation, the concealer, the brightener. We've done bronzer, blush, highlight, and brows, also setting powder, and this is where we're at. And I gotta say, I think the complexion looks amazing. There's a nice glow, but it's not too greasy. It's not oily looking. It just looks healthy, and everything looked beautiful once it was done. It's blended out nicely. The foundation is a little dark, but that's okay. I think it's working out. Hopefully it doesn't oxidize, but I actually really do like this. What do you think? I'm like shocked, honestly, that this is looking so good. Lids are primed and we got to create an eye look, and this is where I'm going to integrate another product. This color story is actually new to my collection, but the formulas and the palette themselves, the range, is not new. I have talked about this before. The Morphe eyeshadow palettes are actually super, super special, beautiful, spectacular, all of the above. They look like this. They have the big kind of M letter on the top and it has like a wavy metallic pattern there. This one specifically is called Going Platinum. I've talked about this one before. It looks like this on the inside. The colors and the pigmentation, I wasn't ready for it. When I swatched this for the first time, I was, again, floored, shocked, had no words, okay? So I decided for this video that I wanted to order another one within that range, and I did. I bought a different color story. This is the Rose to Fame. Really, really cute. And let me show you the inside of that. It is absolutely stunning. It's the rosy vibes, the kind of pinky tones, the mauve kind of blush tones with some deeper shades. I think that the selection of tones is perfection in this. And when you open this, your eye immediately probably goes into the very center shade, which I will let you see that a little bit up close so you can see how it has that kind of wavy pattern to it. That is actually the more metallic liquid metal. When you first get this palette in the mail and you open it up, take it out of the box, it comes with a little cover that has some information, some details about the shadows. I will put in a picture. I did discard that because I was too excited. I ripped open the box and I threw that away because I'm like, we got to go with this. I'm going to show you what that looks like. It gives you some ideas. That can be used wet, that can be used dry. I like to use these dry. You don't need to wet your brush for this because it's intense. So let's start off with swatching that very center shade. Just kind of swirling my finger. And that is the tone of that shade. It's kind of like a coppery bronze with a little bit of a rose undertone to it. It's absolutely beautiful. And the color, and swatch is dynamite. This is not the Morphe that we used to know. I'm just telling you that right now. Now the Charmed Life is a little bit more sheer. That has a kind of like a beigey tone to the undertone of the color, but the base itself doesn't have a lot of pigment. And then this one has a little bit more of like a kind of orangey, goldeny vibe to it with a little bit of peach. Those are the two shades on the left and right to that kind of molten lava type of color. Let's swatch some of the lighter pink tones. I feel like you can get a lot of different looks with this palette because you have some soft kind of blush tones, like these are the three on the top row. And let's see, where can I swatch these colors? Ooh, that's pretty. Soft, light, ethereal, kind of like a mauve-y, plummy undertone to that color. Some soft, light baby pink shades. Those are the three from the bottom row. Absolutely divine. I'm not the best with swatches, but at a distance, look, I know you're saying that, right? Like, that's just insane. They're soft, they're buttery, they're smooth, they're creamy, they blend well, they're affordable. I mean, what else could you want? The only thing to complain about, if I had to pick something, is that there isn't a mirror. But you know what? I'm going to forgive that because this is incredible. I love this formula. If you have not tried this, please do so. It's going to be linked for you down below. Let's create a look with this palette. I'm going to go into the first shade to create a transition, and I'm going to use the shade on the top row. This one is called Spoiler Alert, and it looks like this. It's a really soft, kind of rosy tan shade, and I'm going to use a BK Beauty brush. This is the A503. It's a large, fluffy crease brush. This is the style of brush that I'm missing from the Morphe collection. I did not buy one. They do have one. So I do plan on picking that up whenever I go into Ulta stores or the next time I place an order, because I feel like that was what I was missing to create a more transition type of look with a crease color in that video that I reviewed the brushes. But I was still able to create a full look, still love the brushes, still stand by my opinions on them, and that color is just perfection. I knew it was. I knew it would be great. With that same brush, I'm going to take that same shade and just kind of sweep a little bit of color under the eyes, just to create a cohesive look from the top to the lower eye area as well. And I just like to do this. I think it's just easy to do it at the same time. Just kind of sweep it back and forth. It's a lighter, kind of softer shade, so I'm not really concerned with it being too messy or too thick. It's going to create like a base layer of color. Now let's deepen up the outer V a little bit, and I'm going to go down to the bottom row. It's going to be the shade called Trust Fund Issues. This is a very warm, kind of rosy brown shade. And I'm going to use a brush from the Morphe collection as well for this step. It's the M303. It's the Eye Packer. This is the smaller one. I think this is the medium. They have a large, medium, and a small, I believe. So I'm going to just take the smaller one. I'm just going to pack that color right on this outer part of my eye. Just kind of tap right on this outer V. Just focusing on placement right now. I'm going to switch to a different brush. This is the M331. It's the eye blender, but this one actually comes to a nice point, which is perfect for blending color in the crease. I'm going to use that to help soften and blend this out because I just focused on placement. Now I need to go back and blend. So I'm just going to go back and forth and blend this out. Same shade, different brush. This is the M383. It's a really small detail brush. It looks like a miniature pencil brush. I'm going to use that to blend that same color right on the lower lashes. A little bit thicker out here and thinner and taper it as I work towards the inner corner. And I'm going to go back into my original blending brush from the BK Beauty brand, and I'm going to use what's left on it, not picking up anything else. And I'm going to give that under eye a quick sweep. I did do the shadow a little bit thicker this time, so I just want to kind of blend that out. Now, if you did that and it kind of got a little thick, what you could do, if you wanted to go back in with some color, you could go in with that first transition shade to help soften that. Actually, let's do that. Let's take a little bit of that on the very tip of the brush and just kind of sweep underneath just to create a more blended look. Just a little bit. It doesn't take a lot of effort and energy or a lot of product to blend this out. These colors blend super easily. I do want to add some darkness though, so I'm going to switch to a different brush. This is going to be a detail brush that's smaller, and this is the M382. And I'm going to go into that deep shade at the bottom of the palette. I tapped off the excess to make sure I don't have any fallout since my concealer is done. And I'm going to just gently apply this to the base of my lash line. Again, a little bit thicker out here and thinner and tapered as I work towards the inner corner. Another cool thing to do with this brush, this is the tapered crease brush, the M31, is to use that point to help you blend right underneath, because that point just gets right there under the lashes and it's just perfection for blending. I'm just going to soften that just a little bit. I like it to be a little bit thicker, a little bit smokier, so I'm not gonna take away too much color by blending a lot. I'm just making sure that everything looks nice and kind of thick, blended, looks smooth. Love the way that's looking so far. Let's add a little bit of fun to this look, and let's just go ahead and use that center color. I'm gonna use my finger to apply it. It's the one that looks like a lava, kind of molten, kind of metal look to it with the wave pattern. I'm gonna use my finger to apply this, and I'm gonna just use my middle finger to kind of tap this color. Look at the pigment on that. There is a little bit of a subtle kind of sparkle. I am getting a little bit of fallout, so that is something to note, but I don't care. I'm gonna clean that up in a little while. We're just gonna pat from inner corner to outer corner. That is absolutely stunning. It's a very warm, coppery, kind of rosy bronze type of shade. It is prettier in person. I don't wear shades like this that often. I do like bronze tones with more brown in them, but this, stunning. Absolutely gorgeous. For the inner corner, I'm gonna choose the lightest shade in the palette, which is this one here. It's called Nepo Beige. And I'm gonna use a really detailed brush that's really small. This is the M383. I actually have two of these. I'm gonna tap off the excess, and I'm gonna use that right in this inner corner and kind of blend it into that very warm, sparkly shade that we have on the lids. This is going to open the eyes up a little bit, and I did not realize that that shimmer actually has like a pinky violet shimmer to it. That is absolutely beautiful. That on the lids with a thick black wing liner, stop, okay? That is so beautiful. You don't really see that, honestly. I'm shocked. When you look at it, you just see like a shimmer pink, but it's not until you start blending that you actually pick up those kind of violet-y, icy tones to that color. So unexpected, but it's stunning. I absolutely love it. I think that may be my favorite, actually, in this entire palette. This is stunning. Oh my gosh. If you hear any noises, I'm pretty sure you probably heard some thumping. Those are my toddlers. They're upstairs running around. My 4-year-old, she just turned 4, and she loves to crack eggs to make breakfast with her daddy. So that's what they're doing upstairs. And there was a moment that I actually was not filming where she just kind of like had a just outburst, because when she doesn't get any shells, she gets so excited about it. And she's actually very good at cracking eggs, better than me. And she's 4. But she's upstairs making breakfast, so she is so thrilled because daddy's home today and it's Friday, and she is super excited. That girl is like glued to her daddy's hip. Actually, I'm going to take that same color, same brush, and I'm going to use that in the inner corner as well. One thing to note, as I've been blending, I do have more fallout on this side from the main lid shade versus this side. There's barely anything, so I think that was just my mistake, because I don't have that issue with the Going Platinum palette. I rarely ever have any fallout. So I think that was just me maybe brushing up against my lashes. That's probably what caused that. So just kind of pointing that out. I think that was my doing there. I'm obsessed. I'm going to use that same color, just kind of lightly. Just a little something under the brow bone. Now the final thing is to do some eyeliner and mascara. Liner is totally optional. I always like to use a little bit of eyeliner. Typically, if I was kind of doing this off camera just to get myself ready, I probably would have used some of the darker shades in the palette to do like a powder shadow liner. But I do have a liner to use, and I'm actually excited about this because it's a double-ended eyeliner. How cool is that? You get 2 shades in one pencil, so not a lot of product that you have to worry about in your makeup bag or in your collection of products if you have a vanity or a place where you put your products. This is the By Liner. It's the dual-ended gel liner that looks like that. How cool is that? Of course, my camera's not gonna focus. So I chose one that had some options that I do like to use and reach for very often, and it's the one that's called Want, which is the dark brown, almost like an espresso brownish black. And then on the opposite side, it says Need, and that's more of like a bronze, because I love a good bronze, and so I just had to. Let's go ahead and swatch this. That is so soft. That's the Want side. And let's do the Need side, which is that kind of bronzy shade. That color actually turned out to be a little bit cooler than I expected, which is fine. I don't have anything in my collection quite like this, so I'm not mad at it. But I thought it was just going to be a little bit more bronzy because the outside has just a little bit more brown to it, but it's actually much more cool, the actual color of the formula, which is fine. The opposite end does have a little bit of a sheen to it as well. Not like a lot of glitter or sparkle, but it's something to note. I'm going to take this and just do a line right across my lash line really quickly. So that eyeliner went on with ease, and I had no issues with it pulling or tugging across the lash line. I'm excited to use this again in a separate video possibly, or even off camera to use that other side. I don't think that that color would match really well with the eyeshadows. So stay tuned, we'll use that and talk about that again in a different video. But now we get to do some mascara as the final thing for this eye look. But they also do have a mascara primer, which I thought was quite interesting because it's blue. It's actually a bright blue color. I've never seen a mascara primer this bright blue. I've seen the white tones. We've seen a couple that are tinted black, which I think is ideal for layering underneath mascara. And we're gonna follow that with the mascara. It's the Make It Big, so they do have a full size and a mini. So I just chose the mini just to try the formula out, and I'll show you what the brush looks like on the Make It Big mascara. It is more of like an hourglass type shape of brush, and the formula does seem to be slightly kind of wet, but not too wet, so I think it might actually work out nicely. But let's first start with the primer on the lashes. So you can see just barely a tint of blue. I'm actually not even concerned anymore. I thought looking at it, this is bright, this is crazy. But when you put it on, you see just a hint of blue, but it really doesn't look that intense. It's not that scary. I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. While this side dries, I'm going to go in with the mascara on my right side. And I'm going to use just the same amount that I normally use with any mascara. I usually do 2 on the top and then 1 coat at the bottom. And here on the right side of my lashes is 1 generous coat of the mascara over the blue primer. And I do like how it kind of separated everything. There's no clumps, there's no like sticking together. It kind of gave me a nice fan out effect. So far so good. I'm gonna let this hang out and dry while I do the mascara on this side. And then I'm gonna come back and do a second coat and see how well we can build up this mascara. Coat number 2, let's see if we can make it big. 2 coats with the primer, 1 coat of mascara with 1 coat of primer. I do see a difference, and I do think that this gave me a really nice look to the lashes. It's not like overly dramatic, but you can tell that there's something there. It definitely amped up what I was already working with naturally, and I do like it. I think that it did a nice job. Gave me a nice look to the lashes, and so far no clumps, and it built up. That second coat was easy to comb through, and it wasn't kind of gathering the lashes. I still have a full look to my lashes, and what can I say? It's doing this job, and it actually looks really nice. Even just 1 coat with the primer looks really good, but I'm extra with everything. So I'm gonna go in and do a second coat. Let's do a lip combo to kind of tie everything together. I do have another product that I forgot to use before mascara, and that's the Continuous Setting Mist. So we'll let the mascara dry completely, and then we'll come back to that. So let's go into the lip combo. I have a lip liner and a lip gloss. This is the Soul Matte Cute. This is the gel filling lip liner in the shade called Dearest, and it's an automatic. It's just a twist up. You just twist, apply, and go. I like that. And then I also picked up the Dripglass Glaze. It's a high shine lip gloss in the color Opalescent Orchid, and this is so incredibly beautiful. I just can't. I don't know why I have never noticed this before, but it's a light kind of pretty pink shade, but it has like a pinky, violety, orchidy type of color for shimmer. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. And here is the Dearest lip liner shade. Now let's top it with the gloss. And this is the look with the lip liner and the lip gloss. This formula feels absolutely incredible. I honestly want more shades. Look at how glossy that looks. It's a little bit thicker, so it just kind of filled in and smoothed the lines of my lips completely. Absolutely perfect to wear with any lip liner. Now, this lip combo may not be the ideal combination to go with this eye look, but honestly, I don't care because I'm still gonna wear it. This is so pretty. This is just, wow, absolutely wow. These two together, gorgeous. Now let's go back to that setting mist and let's set all this. give it a good fan to dry. And wow, does that mist just kind of cover your entire face so quickly, so easily. You barely feel anything. There's no water droplets whatsoever on the face. I don't have to go in with my sponge and kind of tap out any little droplets. I'm like blown away. The only thing I will say is that this does have quite a bit of a fragrance to it, and you do pick that up immediately when you start to spray this. If you hold down this nozzle here, it's just continuous. So you just kind of move your hands around and there's just no stopping. There's no interruption with the spray coming out. I like this. I just don't prefer the intense fragrance, but it went on with ease, covered my entire face, and it's just so, so fine, this mist. I do like. And here we are, the finished, completed look using Morphe as a one brand for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I am impressed with everything. I don't have anything negative to say about the formulas, the way they blended, the performance of these products. They just look so beautiful on the skin. They perform like high-end products at an affordable price. The only one thing that I would have to say is that I didn't do a really good match myself on the foundation, but with that extra concealer and just adding more in the center of the face, I balanced things out, scaled back on bronzer, and I made it work. But I would have preferred a lighter shade in this. But that is really, honestly, my only negative thing to say about this. The complexion looks fresh, it looks dewy, it looks hydrated, but it's not too greasy, it's not oily. It doesn't feel sticky. That mist just kind of set everything in place, got rid of any sort of powdery look, which honestly I didn't. With that powder that is like the Hourglass formula, it doesn't look heavy. Even their loose powder doesn't look heavy, it doesn't look too drying on the skin. Everything just kind of melted in beautifully, blended well, and I am very, very happy, very impressed with the look today with the products. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for being here, for watching. Everything is going to be listed and linked for you down below. I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, you guys, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.